All right, then we're going to show and tell. Dave, you want to go first?
I brought two things. You want to bring this up?
Bring it on the table. Yeah, let me switch.
I don't know, talk about the other thing I brought while you're setting that up. So I brought two things. One is the Sharpie schooner over there that we'll talk about in a minute. And then when I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, I mean, I got some big tool stuff coming. I got to build the case for that and the gantry building board for the Echo with fully framed, which is what I want to do next. In between, I was going to do a little longboat, and I was going to work off of a kit that I purchased probably at some auction someplace along the way. I wanted to build it in boxwood and not basswood. And Chuck Passaro was really nice, and he laser cut. I just wanted the frames, the way it's built. They're kind of die cut, and you can build it over the entire frame rigidly, and then you pop out the middle part. And I was worried about doing that with a jigsaw because the curve is so wide, and you'd have to be so accurate. And he actually did for me not only the frames, but he did all of the laser cutting and went as far by doing it in boxwood instead of basswood. You can use scale thickness frames. If you buy the kit, the basswood is thicker, so it's rigid enough, even though it's basswood. And I thought I was going to have to scratch build the keelson and keel because the slots should be narrower. And when I went to take a look, it turns out he had adjusted that as well, and they're the right thickness for the thinner frames. So this is probably what I'll do next while I do the big tool stuff. But I was just really appreciative of him for doing that.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
He does wonderful stuff, and if people aren't familiar with Siren models, he's got lots of good stuff on the site.
And you will have a rare kit, you know, this old box.
Yeah, and it won't be a kit because there's basically nothing from the kit that I'll be using. Someone will be able to get that at a club auction pretty soon, but it will be pretty heavily kit bashed. So this is the New England Oyster Sharpie, and it's from the Nautical Research Guild plan set. You can buy the plans for this on the NRG website. There's a big practicum for it. I'm going to be really brief here because other people have people to present, and Ron has recruited me to present this in July as a full presentation. But it's in boxwood and pear. It's everything on the scratch built except for the blocks, which are some old Warner wood blocks that I have laying around. Happy to answer any questions.
Because I'm you, I don't know the difference between boxwood.
So,
Oh boy.
basswood is what most kits come with, and it's a great wood for hand tools. It's not expensive. There's a lot of wonderful things about it, but it's pretty soft. It doesn't hold an edge very well, and there are lots, and you have to paint it or stain it. My preference, I like to use different colored woods. I don't like to paint or stain. And so boxwood is this tannish yellow wood. The other wood is steamed pear, Swiss pear. And you have to, it's much harder. You have to use power tools. Well, you can do it with hand tools. It's much easier with power tools. And to me, it looks nicer, also holds an edge better if you're scraping shapes or carving it.
Boxwood and holly are both very good. If you cut into, but boxwood is slow growing. There's American boxwood and English. English boxwood has to be like 50, 60 years old before you can harvest it and use it. But American, a little bit short time. But when you cut into boxwood, you don't see any grain. It's so slow growing. The grain is just microscopic almost.
Your point about the different boxwoods is great. it is really tough to get European boxwood. It's generally in half logs, it's expensive, and it's hard to find. I have a single half log at home that I have been, being really selective on and basically just using it for carving. This is Castillo boxwood, which isn't a real Buxa species, but it looks and feels like it, and you can get it in tree-sized pieces.
Boxwood is expensive, even the Costello is expensive.
Yeah, although that, it kind of depends. It definitely expensive, but if you're milling it yourself, if you're going and buying pre-cut basswood, when you add it all up, it doesn't end up being that much different once you've invested in all the tools. Thank you.
Who's speaking, please? Is it Dave?
David Chelmow.
Yeah, Dave, Joe Lorenzo here. You set me on for, actually helped me identify that Sharpie, the Florida Sharpie. And I'm looking at your beautiful model. With the plans, are there any instructions on how to build it, or are you on your own?
No, so I'm going to talk at length about that in July. There is a very, very detailed, 150-page practicum, which you can download for free. It's on the NRG website. And
Okay.
I started with, in fact, one of the reasons I picked it was I wanted to build more than research on this one. I started this right at the beginning of the coronavirus thing. But by the time I was through, I deviated pretty far from it. And, we've had some discussions at the meeting, and John Schiefers helped me out. For instance, there's all of these jigs that they've designed and then they don't use. So I ended up figuring out how to use them and really building it over the formers. The rigging needed a little bit of extra research. I mean, it's a beautiful set of plans. They don't say what the prototype is. I suspect it's some of the plans from one of the two Sharpies at Mystic Seaport. Really enjoyed the project. And I just don't know if they were able to successfully build it from the, without the frames. I just could not see, basically they build the bottom and then they somehow attach the sides and bend them without using any supports, and that didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I used the jig that they had designed and didn't use, and that worked really well.
A handsome model. I'd like to make it as a companion to the Sharpie.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy doing it, and I'd be happy to help. And if you want any of the jigs and stuff, I'm going to hold on to them for now until I finish the presentation in July. But they need a home after that, and and the plans as well.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Show and tell, anybody else in here?
See if I can pull up a couple pictures on my phone.
I brought in a model to show my progress on the F-scale model of the Seguin. I was tan for it, so it's there we go. This is a couple months work that I've been doing on it. I use the plans for the model of the Seguin, which is a old 100-foot tug, 1884 or something like that it was built. And I took the plans from the kit, which I put in the auction a couple months ago, which would have produced about a 4-foot model, which was too much. So I reduced the plans in half and started from scratch. This is where I am now. One of the reasons I brought it in was the last meeting. somebody asked about double blanking. And I just wanted to point out that this is the point at which you're going to make a decision whether you double blank it or not. This is basswood, and yeah, basswood is soft. It's hard to get a good smooth finish on it. It doesn't stain well. So if you wanted to have a hull with full stained appearance, like walnut or mahogany or something, you'd have to double blank it. And this is what you're working with. It's smooth. So it's going to be, I'm not through yet. It's not yet smooth, but it's going to be. With all the bulges and the humps out of it, and it will be ready for painting or painting. The cases can be painted.
What's the name of the ship here?
Chip.
Yeah.
Seguin.
Sagine?
Seguin. It was the last steam tug operating on the East Coast.
Ah, okay.
Does it have like a steam plan on it?
Well, if you built a big one, you might put
I
one.
mean, everything below deck.
Oh, yeah, it's all below there.
It's a stack or something.
Really ordinary looking tug, but you wouldn't think it was this old. This hull, if it just had a little bit of flare on the bow, this would be a clipper ship.
Yeah, that's the right shape.
Looks like it just threw a clipper hull and put a propeller on it, let the bow spread off, and have it done.
Have you decided to double plank?
I'm not going to double flank.
It looks pretty neat.
Next time you see it, it'll be bright white.
There's a stain, I can't remember what it's called now, that you can prepare wood with this stuff. And then the stain goes on more smoothly and more uniformly, I've found, with basswood. Does not work with poplar, but it works with basswood quite well. Paints better.
Remember that, but this was, original was painted. Okay.
Anybody else in here, Craig? You get something?
Ah, model boat building shop.
It's,
Model building.
what scale? Yeah, people keep asking when I'm gonna be done, and I keep, my answer is, from the very beginning, has been when it's finished. I never set a scheduled deadline, because I knew I wasn't going to meet it, but I know that if I had, I would have missed about 5 of them. It's going very well. There's been nothing more than minor mistakes, nothing horribly expensive or time consuming to redo. I did discover that somehow I managed to frame the door that you're looking at 1 inch too short, but I discovered it before I tried putting it in. But I had to destroy the header and the jack studs because they were so well nailed in. So the shingles are all but done, and you see the soffit materials in, the exterior lights are in. So it's vinyl siding, the fascia. Have to build stairs, insulation, drywall, put an HVAC unit. Still a lot left to be done. Kind of kicking myself for not putting it on a slab. I thought I was going to save several $1,000s that way, but cost about $900 to put in a foundation on piers as it is, and then I just spent another $450 on wood for the stairs to go into it, because I thought I would be able to have stairs that just went up to the door, but to make sure I don't have any problem with the code inspection, you have to have a 3-foot platform outside, even if the door swings in. So I have a 3-foot porch on each of 3 doors. Anyway, that's that. So it's moving along. One of these days I'll put all my tools back in it and go back to making logs.
a lot of progress from that ball raised it.
Good.
You don't put the HVAC in yourself?
I'm gonna install the physical equipment and then pay someone to
I got a
connect
buddy-
it and,
Yeah, I got a buddy that can do all that.
is, for the warranty, is, I'll have to be able to prove that he's qualified, I mean, is the actual.
Oh, yeah, he's got his own.
Yeah, all right, cool. I'll get in touch with you.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to stop, but you can just take it away from me, I think, too.
Okay, any other, show and tell in the room? We'll go to online. Do we have any, show and tell online? Mort, you got anything you want to show?
I'm building the Arm Virginia sloop with Bob Hunt's practicum. And I really like the practicum. It's great. I'm having trouble with some of the plans because it's so condensed. Everything is really scrunched up on it. And it's funny because I'm used to building my last 3 kits were Caldecraft kits, and the plans were much more spaced out and they were much easier to read. And I'm dyslexic and I have spatial issues. And I guess those plans it was just easier. But this is a good learning experience for a first-time modeler. And that's about all I really have to say on it. I mean, it's coming out all right. I'm still in the very early stages, as you can see. And it's my first kit where you have to scrape off the laser cutting, and it'll be my last kit. I'm really not happy with that. And that's about it.
Yeah, the laser char is, quite a chore.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
You built the victory? You built the victory?
Yeah, I did. I finished it a few months ago, and I put the figures around it also. I hand painted some figures and put those around it.
It doesn't have any laser char on the.
Autograph router, CNC routers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's much better. It's much better. And the kits before that were Mamoli, and they don't have laser char on it also. And it was just much easier, I thought. And the plans were much more spaced out. They weren't as condensed, and it was nicer.
Okay. Very good, you know, if you're moving along. Kevin, you got anything to share with us?
Well, not really. I've been dying with the flu. I mean, I've been, my normal carving. I've just about finished the task I set myself for Christmas. Now I'm going to make up some smaller pieces and start bringing it down in scale. And then, of course, I need to get back to the thorn. So that's about it.
Nice. I did enjoy the video on how to make a block. That was very interesting. Especially how he took
Yeah, he's fantastic.
silver quarter and it took a silver quarter and turned it into a brass finish. I thought that was interesting.
Yep.
Okay. You got anything?
Well, let me do a screen share real quick. Okay, do you see that?
It's coming. There you go.
All right, so this is about 3 weeks ago with the Titanic that I'm working on. These are brass masks. They are significantly, I've shown this before. It's a mini craft kit. and with all plastic kits, when you get to the thinner stuff, you're at the point where you're reaching the limits of the casting process for plastic. So as with most kits, plastic kits that have any sorts of mass or spars, trying to rig off them, if you made them to scale, they're just too damn flimsy. And so what most kit manufacturers do is they make them much too large. So on this model, I replaced these with turned brass mass. I forget the name of the company. I will think about it later, but it's a company in Poland. These masts are exquisite. The detailing, the bands on the mast are all, it's obviously a turning. How he got it so thin, turned, and it's just exquisite. The masts are exquisite. I don't know if you could see my mouse here. This is the lookout station. Notice that there's a brass bell that comes with this kit. There's also the ship bell down here that you can't see. And this is one of the booms, one of the rigging booms. Forecastle deck, all up on the bow here, the prow here. This was all scratch built because what's in the kit is just garbage and it's completely inaccurate. I'll next time show a better photograph, but there's a hoop on here that the forestays attached to. Okay, and I now have the rails on. This is the stern. These here, this is where the docking bridge will go. These skylights are scratch built because they do not come in the kit and they're not even mentioned in the kit. So that's the forecastle. I mentioned before, these are the 3D printed stacks, and you could see the stays off of the stacks. Those stays were made with 8/aught fly tying thread. Okay. All right, that's the overall model. And it's coming along. I do have the rail on the forecastle, and I'll be working on the rail on the for the poop deck. After that, the big project is going to be the Marconi antenna, which goes between the two masts. I'm doing that. I'm going to use model Kasten, Kasten wire. Chuck Bauer, in the last NRG series of workshops, recommended it. And the reason why I'm using that wire rather than thread is that a common mistake that's made with running rigging and also antennas is the antenna droops. There's a catenary droop to the antenna. Okay, if you're going to do it with thread or rigging line, in this scale, this small, 8/1000ths and less, for the thread, it's impossible to get it to have a convincing droop. If you don't pull it taut, it's going to twist. So what the model builders in this scale use, 1 to 350, is they use this wire. So I will take an attempt at doing that. So that will be in wire. And then after that, 22 boats, 44 davits have to be done. The davits are photo etch, and each photo etch piece has about 6 pieces to it. And I will have photographs of that in a future time. I wanted to have this done by Christmas. That didn't happen. Okay, so I will stop sharing. Yes. Yeah.
Is was it Poland, the guy in Poland that supplied the mast?
Yes.
Does he do other fittings?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will sometime do a tech talk on sources. What you got to do is you just do a Google search, and this stuff. I started with Sprue Brothers. I started with Hobby Inc., which is a mom and pop hobby store. I think they're from Georgia, operate out of Georgia. That's pretty good. The 3D printed stuff, you folks in Hampton Roads helped me out with that. That's Model Monkey. Okay, a Model Monkey and also Shapeways. What's interesting about Shapeways is many of the items that Shapeways sell, the software that they're using is actually sold to them or loaned to them by a separate person or entity. And they pay, and Shapeways, I don't know, there's some financial agreement among them, but if you go to Shapeways and you find something that you're looking for and Shapeways doesn't have it, you could link directly to the designer of that data package, and they might have it on their own website. For example, on this model of Titanic, the funnels I was able to get from Model Monkey. And the first set of funnels, I screwed them up. So I had to buy a separate second set. And I found that even the difference between the first set, the second set was much much superior to the first set, believe it or not. And this was like within a month that they upgraded the program. And also the cowl vents, Shapeways didn't have it, but I found a link to a place in Wales, UK, that made these cowl vents 3D printed. So, they're not cheap, it's not inexpensive, but nobody said this hobby was inexpensive. And, you could see the results.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
International model.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I really got to thank you guys at Hampton Roads for hooking me up with Model Monkey, because that opened up a whole lot of different stuff.
Joe, do you have anything to share? Froze up. Joe, do you have anything to share?
Who did you ask?
No, you. Do you have anything to share?
No, between the holidays and a family event, I've had to put things aside.
All right. Well, let that end show and tell. We'll take a real quick break, and then we have a presentation by Ron Lewis.